requirements for the police officers coming out of the academy.
Just 16 seconds after starting to talk with Officer Schimmel, Schimmel opens the driver's side door. After a little more than a minute of talking with the door open, Schimmel rips Augustus out of the car and throws her to the ground to arrest her.
I'm not going to ask you any questions right now. What I am going to tell you is you were pulled over for your speed and your headlight, okay? Your speed was 37 and 30, not that big of a deal, and your headlight was out on your driver's side. Pulling you over to let you know. If you would have just given me your license and your registration like I asked you to do, you would have gone away with a warning tonight, okay? But however, since you decided to pull this right here.
South Whitley Police Department, Vivian Augustus. So they went ahead and took that case, and they're going to basically just put her through the wash of the criminal justice system. You know, this aspiring 18-year-old going to take on the world, but, you know, ran into a police officer. You didn't have the headlight, and now you're going to... It wasn't until the uproar from that video before anybody said or did anything about this.
Police the day Jenkins was killed, since they hadn't heard from her. But it took a second call to police a week later.
This case is weird too, so
burglary and assault.
This guy is pulling a dead body right next to the security guard. Security guard's on the right there by the desk. Security guard's like watching TV or something, twiddling her thumbs, putting his thumb up his butt, whoever it is. And what's on that cart? All that's a dead body. On that cart's a dead body. This is from KMOV St. Louis. And then you have this here, Johnny Johnson, execution taking place. He had murdered somebody, murdered and raped a 6-year-old girl in Valley Park. And so they're moving ahead with the execution. Now, it's interesting that a lot of people are saying that murder and raping kids is wrong, which it absolutely is. But we were doing the exact same thing in Palestine, collectively. 200,000 women, children, old people have been murdered and raped out of existence. Raped no more. They are snuffed the fuck out. And so, I don't know if we have a picture of the guy, or here, we'll have the girl.
Angie several times over the years, and she sat down with her recently, just last week, to talk about how Johnson tore apart her entire family.
So RIP to Angie. There's a couple. Here's the IDF and Jenin. They're doing the same shit that Jimmy Johnson was doing. They're killing a whole bunch of Angies right here. This is what their operation is. They're in another country. Jenin is in Palestine. Palestine is where Jesus was born. Bethlehem. 200,000 people have been killed in Palestine, and America keeps on financing and giving them weapons and guns and bombs and tanks and planes and all the military supplies that they need. She's pretty quiet, right? Because they get to do as the fuck as they please. They do whatever the hell they want. They do as the fuck as they please. But you can only oppress people for so long, you know? Okay, so let's take a look at this.
An indictment by the grand jury for most felony offenses or accusations. Well, you have the right to receive an indictment for these offenses. And I assume Mr. Brad Smith is here on behalf of the DA's office, or he is our district attorney, and he's accompanied by Ms. Patricia Brooks, who is his chief assistant.
So he just told Colin Gray that he's got a right to a grand jury indictment, which that's interesting, isn't it? So you get a grand jury indictment if you're a mass shooter of kids, and a lot of people are, you know, rightfully so, saying the murder of kids are terrible because there's never a justification for the murder of innocents. There's never a justification for the assault or the stealing of or the raping of or the murder of innocents. You can't maim, you can't torture, you can't enslave. Just interesting, the hypocrisy, the hypocritical society that we live in, unless it's Palestine. If it's Palestine, then you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want to. You can rape, murder, steal, assault, whatever the hell you want to. It don't matter. Nobody's going to say anything. The United States used the United Nations veto umbrella to cover up their crimes, and then we finance it to the tune of $23.5 billion. Here is the son, the father giving the gun to the son. Now, there's several reports that I've heard about this. He was being bullied in school. he's getting bullied at the house. The grandfather said the father would actually verbally abuse him all the time. His mother's going to do a bunch of drugs and pass out on the lawn and pass out on the porch. They're going to get locked out of the house during cold weather because you better do as you're told, damn it. You better do as you're told. And so this probably was a good day for him and his son, right? For Christmas, he bought him this gun. So he probably, hit him the day before or something and then try to make up for it.
Deer hunt for me and Colt. He hunted with a 450 Bushmaster. They're 107 yards. And let's go take a look.
So they shot and killed a deer with this AR-15 that he's got. So how many shots did the deer take? 15 shots.
Holy crap. Look at that, brother.
And so I guess they're going to be best friends now. So, I mean, I think it's right that the father has gotten arrested, but just the bullying and the abuse and the mother and the father, and then public school is absolutely tough. So if you don't have a good family life and then you're trying to impress people in public school, it's not going to work because you're going to have, people cutting up and shit. And so he's getting bullied all over the place. Parents are bullying him.
A preliminary hearing, you'll have the right also to a preliminary hearing, unless you make a bond with court.
That's interesting. So you got a right to a grand jury indictment and a preliminary hearing. Just goodness gracious, so many rights for the absolute worst of the worst. I want to talk, the media hasn't said shit about Jackson Hinkle talking to Maduro. We were about to invade Venezuela. And just like you had, goodness gracious, what was that, Gray Zone guy? He went down to Venezuela when all this shit was happening and kind of, I feel like they stopped it. Jackson Hinkle stopped the invasion of Venezuela because the U.S. was gearing up like they needed to invade it because that's sort of, it's a socialist country, so we have to say that there wasn't any democracy there. So just some different goings on around the world.